Okay, good morning guys. We have today's talk is about the physiological responses during various stages of fasting. So we're going to talk about how our body responds at different lengths of fast. Um, we've discussed fasting before. I've talked about it, the benefits of fasting. But I'm just going to talk about how the benefits are at different times. Before we start, I'm going to start with a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Was he one of the first presidents of the United States? Okay, yes. And he said, the best medicine is resting and fasting. That's it. You know, if you rest and fast, personally, I don't remember the last time I took antibiotics. Whenever I have sickness, I just fast. That's what the animal kingdom does as well. But I won't get into too much of that. Okay. He was a chemist? Pharmacist, okay. And you know, in modern times, we have lots of gimmicks. I wouldn't call them gimmicks, it's a negative word, but ways of biohacking our gene code, our body. Fasting is the most successful, proven, and the earliest method to do it. We can really change our internal working with fasting. So today we're going to talk about water fast, and then I'm going to answer a few general questions about fasting, but we're just going to stick mainly to the water fast. So what happens is when we consume food, any type of food, after a period of 1 hour is when the glucose is metabolized by the liver. So when the glucose is metabolized, the insulin comes in. It's a hormone which suppresses excess energy. Like glucose gives us the energy, insulin comes and whatever is not used, it comes and suppresses it. And it turns glucose into glycogen. And glycogen is stored as body fat. That's what happens. At 1 hour, in 1 hour, this process happens generally. Within 6 to 8 hours, that glucose is fully metabolized and it's gone through the stomach and the intestines and been processed. Okay, so the digestion process has generally happened. Very subjective for each individual, but generally it happens between 6 to 8 hours. At 12 hours is when fasting begins. What happens? What happens when the fasting begins? So the body is kind of depleted of the glucose, but so it needs energy. I'm talking right now, I'm probably fasted more than 12 hours. My body doesn't have much glucose. Maybe it does because I had ice cream 12 hours back. So probably it's still kicking in. Ice cream and mango. So I have lots of glucose still probably in the system. But yes, at 12 hours, our glucose is pretty much depleted. And so something else the body needs to take out energy, and that something else is ketones. Ketones is basically fat, what fat gets converted, what fat gets metabolized by the body. The good thing about ketones is that the body really likes it in terms of how much energy it provides. Glucose provides quick energy, while ketones, it provides energy which is long lasting. And also the ketones, it's preferred fuel source of the brain. So all those things like brain fog and all those things, you improve that at the 12 to 16 hour mark at the fasting window. So you go into something called from a sugar burning to a fat burning zone. You start that. So before that, your body's preferred fuel source, because it's easily available, is glucose. So it keeps pulling. But after 12 hours, it goes from sugar burning to ketone burning. It starts, the fuel source changes. So that's a very important thing that happens at 12 to 16 hours. Now we go into slightly longer fast, where we are at 18 to 24 hours. Okay, this should be absolutely minimum, I feel, for every human being, and these should be varied around. So 18 to 24 hours, two things happen, two very, very vital things happen. One is a term recently coined, and that person, I can't remember his name, but he won the Nobel Prize for it. He discovered something called autophagy. It's spelled as A-U-T, I'll just write it down. It's hard to pronounce. Autophagy. autophagy, I don't know, autophagy in the American, yeah. Okay, I was pronouncing it well last night, I can't do it right now. Because they were having a discussion how to pronounce it, and I think that's got into my head. So what happens here is the body's dead cells, they start getting eliminated. So your body starts processing, so it has rested, so it starts attacking its dead cells. So any weak cell, it starts throwing out of the system. What happens when, and also a beautiful thing happens, is when we have a virus or something, a virus needs dead cells to replicate. When autophagy is kicking in, it doesn't have dead cells to kick in. So there was only one cure for COVID, fasting. The virus didn't have anything to multiply by. So that kicks in somewhere between 18 to 24 hours. Also, one more thing happens at 18 to 24 hours is a gut microbiome reset. So we produce stem cells while we fast for longer periods, and those stem cells are basically recovery cells for the body, you know, and the gut starts producing stem cells. The whole microbiome, which is your good bacteria, bad bacteria, it resets. So whatever was the original gets set. So if you have bad bacteria, something like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut syndrome, all of these things start getting fixed at about the 18 to 24 hour mark. And by God, whole of world suffers with some or the other gut issue. Okay, I have not known any human being, very few. I have not known actually who does, very few. I have known a few who doesn't have any kind of gut issue. We're all suffering because of our environment and our food choices. Now, coming into slightly longer fast, you'll be happy to hear something great happens here at the 36-hour mark. So what happens here is belly fat starts reducing. It really does. I've gone through till here, so I can tell you these things happen. Why does belly fat starts reducing? Body generally stores our belly fat in the belly as a mechanism of safety. So when we deposit money in the bank as safety, and when we are broke, all of us got broke during COVID, what did we do? Check how much money we have and start to withdraw that money. So we start to withdraw the safe money which we have around our belly. That's when the body starts to panic basically at 36 hours. So it's called the belly fat burning time at 36 hours. Okay, I would recommend doing that at least once a week, a 36-hour fast. Then we get into slightly longer fast, which is 48 hours. At 48 hours is where there's something called the dopamine reset, which is where the psychological response comes in. So you know what happens? We are in a sugar cycle. We eat sugar, we feel great. Crash, we feel bad. What makes us feel good? Sugar. So we're caught in that. We want more dopamine. What does sugar give? Makes us motivated, happy. That's what happens with sugar. So we are caught in that vicious cycle. But if we are fasted with water for 48 hours, a psychological reset happens where we no longer crave sugar. Sugar does not make us happy anymore. Isn't that beautiful? Sugar doesn't make us happy anymore. So that dopamine which we get from eating sugar is because the body has gotten used to it. It doesn't crave that anymore. So that's what happens at 48 hours. You know, it's yeah. And the last one is at 72 hours. Okay, it's a fairly long fast. I've done it only once. I plan to do it a few more times. This is where our whole immunity gets reset. Our whole white blood cells are turned around. Every white blood cell of our body changes and there's a new cell for it. So Dr. Walter Longo, who is the expert in fasting, he tried it with chemotherapy patients. They put him on fasting and their response was miraculous. Their recovery rates, everything, you should check his workout. Two people I recommend is Dr. Walter Longo. He's more on the serious side, more very technical, but if you're looking for someone who's simpler to understand, there's Dr. Mindy Players, and she's really good with women's health, with menopausal issues, with menstrual cycle issues. She tells you when to fast, how to like regulate that whole cycle as well. So a lot of things I've talked about it from these two people. So that's what happens on the various stages of fasting. Okay, some people ask me a lot of questions about fasting, and I'll just answer them, and then you can answer the questions. First question I get a lot is how to start. I can't do, forget about it, 12 hours. I can't stay fasted for 16 hours. Start small. If you fast only for 8 hours, try to increase it to 10, 12, 14. So my first fast was 17 hours, and I was like, when is 17 hours going to pass? That's the first time I actually know. I did a juice fast when I was in my teens. Something fascinated me about it. But at the end of the day, my mother was like, the mothers have an instinct that my son hasn't eaten food, so she gave me food at night. But start small, start 12 hours maybe. I think everyone can manage that. That's where you start, and then you build up. So I recommend, what I do now is, on most weeks I get 136 hour fast in. Generally I'm fasted somewhere every day. I'm fasted about 16 hours, and periodically I go 48 to 72. 72 I've done once. My first 48-hour fast was during COVID. When I got COVID, I fasted the shit out of COVID. It never gonna come back. Yeah, it don't like me. So even if it does, I'm gonna fight hard with this fasting. So that's where you want to start. The second thing that I struggle personally is how to break fasts. I tend to overeat. Like, you're starving for so long, I just want to eat everything in my fridge. That's how I go, and that's not the good way. You get really bad gut issues from it. The best way to break a fast is generally by some fats and some probiotic food, like your yogurt, some kimchi, or like sauerkraut, something like that, which is probiotic, kombucha, something like that. Not too good fats and probiotics. I think that work to just keep. Best thing actually to break the fast is bone broth, because it has glycine and it lines your stomach to absorb whatever's coming its way, because you lose the glycine over the fast. But if you eat, if you're non-vegetarian, you can do that. The next question is, what can I have? Can I have coffee? Can I have 0-calorie drinks? Can I have chewing gum? That's my question, because I like having chewing gum on my fast. I can't, because it gives me the sensation of eating something for half an hour. Try to avoid everything. Black coffee generally does not cause insulin spikes, but it is a xenobiotic, which means that it does cause disruption in the gut. So avoid it. The sugary the non-calorie drinks, the diet cokes and everything, definitely they have chemical responses. You should probably research more, but what I know of is that they cause your fast to break. So yes, just water is what I recommend for these benefits. This is a water fast. There are other fasts like juice fast and all. I haven't done my research into that. The next is, people ask me, I get so cranky. How do I stop that? I can't stay hungry for even 2 hours. It's actually on the reverse. I get very calm when I'm fasting. Your whole body quiets down. It really quiets down. Your heartbeat, your mental processes, you're so clear. So I went for a blood test, and regular test, and they checked my pulse while it was fasting, and it was in the low 50s. They're like, "Are you okay, sir?" And I realized generally it stays about 57, 58, and so I realized how the fasting had calmed everything down. Rather than getting aggressive, it might be you're not used to it in the beginning, but as you learn how to fast, it's the most beautiful mental and calm state to be in. Your stomach's quiet. Your stomach's never learned to be quiet. when the stomach quiets, everything quiets in our body. You know, our speech quiets. I do. I did. I sometimes do a food, speech, and technology fast. It's brilliant. You live in your cave. That's fun. Few times I've done that. All three managed. Um, Last is how to okay, there are a couple more. Temptations, you get food temptations. And I've succumbed to them a few times as well. It's just go through that 10-15 minute period and I try to put chewing gum in my mouth. Go for a walk, put chewing gum in your mouth. Just breathe, do some breathing exercise, do some physical exercise. All of these things help overcome those. And trust me, it's just, if you go through that 15-20 minute period, you don't feel hungry anymore. Your stomach actually creates a block against food. It really does. You feel like, no, I am under repair. You can feel it. And that, no, nothing come in right now. Please, caution. The next is people are scared that they might lose muscle or weight too much. Look, you might drop some weight during the fast, but what happens is that your hormonal balances, hormones are really well balanced during the fast. So for men, GHD and testosterone spike around this 36-hour time. So what happens is you might lose weight right now and you might lose a little bit of muscle as well, but when you start going back to your normal life, you have more GHD and testosterone to build upon a bigger foundation. So yes, during the fast, I've lost about 4.5 kilograms. Yeah, 4.5 kilograms in a 72-hour fast, almost. So that's, but I regain it in 3 days. It's not like it stays there. But what the hormonal balance that has happened is much more, it'll give you a bigger base to build muscle. The good thing is it's mostly fat that burns. The muscle still stays. There is a little bit of muscle loss, but you get that back very quickly when you get because your hormones are at a great level. Yes, so fasting is the time proven. All the scriptures said it 5,000 years ago, and the scientists from California are ringing about it now. So that's our ancient civilization, how far advanced we are. People say America is 50 years advanced than us. Bullshit. We are 5 million years ahead of them. We really are. If we go back to Vedanta, we are. It's a fact. Don't put it to American listeners, this one. Huh? I hope I don't have, out of those 75, no one's American. Yeah, Tara? No, they have good, it's about balance. It's about balance. Any questions regarding fasting, guys? Who would like to try a 36-hour fast? The fat burner. Yeah, awesome. Start small. Start with 24 hours, 18 hours. Yes, don't go to 36. You'll kill me otherwise. You'll send me a message. Coach, I am going to kill you tomorrow morning. And how much? Start whatever is good for you, sir. Start wherever you want to. There's no good timing. Yes, oh, that's a good question. I forgot. Can you work out while fasting? Jabji, you can answer that. Yes, because you start burning ketones. So what do endurance athletes do? Endurance athletes do ketosis because the fats give you energy for longer time. For CrossFit, it's not advisable. For like I used to drink all the sugary stuff before my workout, no fasting, because I want 10 minutes bang energy. I don't want ketosis where I'm getting energy for 3 hours continuous. If I'm going for a long run or something, I recommend doing an endurance workout while fasting, not lifting or anything, because lifting you won't perform as well as you will because you need glucose, you need sugar. But for running, swimming, biking, all of this stuff, you will perform better at ketosis than you would without fasting. No, you get ketosis here. You get into ketosis after 12 to 16 hours. In during that 12 to 16 hour phase. Yes, your sleeping hours count in the fast. So if you sleep 8 hours, आपको बस 2 घंटे सोने से पहले खाना है और 2 घंटे बाद में खाना है. ठीक है, जो आप चाय का बिस्कुट उठते सार खाते हो वो फास्ट ब्रेक हो जाता है. चाय, ब्लैक टी, नो दूध, नो क्रीमर्स. Black tea, you can green tea, you can have. Yeah, I have sometimes I have chamomile tea. 72-hour fast. I even had a vegetable broth of celery and everything. You know, just after the 48-hour mark, I did have celery broth, like a clear soup of celery also. It would. Technically, it would. The water fast, it would break. But I had got whatever I wanted. Maybe the immune response, I don't know. I have to go to a laboratory in California, UC Berkeley, MIT, and get myself seen what broke the fast. Yes. Yeah, you can cut it off.